Have you ever wondered if she likes you, but you can't tell for sure? One moment she smiles, laughs at your jokes, and responds to your texts in record time. The next, she turns cold and distant, leaving you staring at your phone, replaying every interaction and asking yourself, did I just imagine it all? This is the silent battlefield most men walk through. You feel the warmth one day and the ice the next, as if she flips a switch you can't control. It's confusing, frustrating, and often bruises a man's confidence. The truth is, women rarely come out and say what they feel. Not because they're playing games, but because they want to see if you are the kind of man who notices without needing a neon sign pointing the way. And here's the catch. Most men miss it. They chase too hard, they explain too much, or they pressure something that was already leaning in their direction. They mistake polite friendliness for affection, or worse, ignore the real signals entirely. But once you understand how attraction actually reveals itself, you'll stop living in that fog of uncertainty. You'll see patterns instead of mixed messages, clarity instead of confusion. You won't need to ask her how she feels. You'll know. If you're tired of guessing and ready to understand women through a Stoic lens, keep reading and subscribe to Stoic Advice for Men for more insights like this. Here's a truth most men don't realize. Women almost never come right out and say, I like you. Instead, they communicate through subtler ways, small shifts in tone, glances that linger, or the quiet effort of making space for you in their world. Why? Because they're testing. Not in a manipulative sense, but in a deeply instinctive one. A woman wants to know if you are perceptive enough to notice without her spelling it out. To her, attraction isn't just about looks or charm. It's about whether you can read the unsaid. If you can sense her cues, it tells her you are present, attentive, and grounded. The kind of man who doesn't need everything handed to him. Unfortunately, this is where most men stumble. They rush in too quickly, trying to define the relationship before it has even begun. They over-explain their intentions, flood her with compliments, or push for validation. Others swing to the opposite extreme, acting loud, boastful, or desperate to impress, only to make her retreat behind her guard. This is where the Stoic approach changes everything. Instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to wait. Instead of forcing clarity, you let her behavior reveal itself. Stoicism trains you to observe quietly, to remain calm even when emotions rise, and to master yourself rather than chase her approval. Once you know what to look for, the fog clears. She may never tell you, but she will always show you. Signal number 1. Her energy shifts around you. Energy doesn't lie. Words can be rehearsed, smiles can be faked, and even laughter can be forced. But a woman's energy will always tell the truth. When she likes you, her entire presence begins to shift in subtle but undeniable ways. You won't need her to say anything outright. You'll feel it in the way she carries herself around you. Pay attention to her voice. With everyone else, it may sound casual or flat, but when she talks to you, it softens. Not necessarily in volume, but in intention. There's a warmth behind the words, a gentle rhythm that makes it feel like you're not just another guy in the room, but the one person she's choosing to tune into. Watch her eyes. They don't need to lock onto yours for long stretches to give her away. It might just be a glance that lingers a split second longer than it should, enough to spark a quiet fire inside you. That's not random. It's instinct. Notice her laughter. When she truly enjoys your presence, her laugh doesn't just mean, that's funny. It means, don't stop talking, stay here. It's less about the joke and more about the connection. Even her body gives her away, subtle mirroring of your posture, leaning in when you speak, or angling her legs toward you without realizing it. This can happen anywhere. In the workplace when you walk into a meeting and her face lights up, at a gathering when she naturally gravitates closer to where you're standing, or even over text when her tone shifts from short replies to playful, engaging messages. But here's the catch. Don't confuse friendliness with attraction. Some women are simply polite, and their warmth is social, not romantic. The real difference lies in consistency and depth. Polite interest is surface level. Genuine attraction carries weight. Her energy becomes more intentional, more personal, as if the world fades slightly when you're in focus. This is where Stoicism becomes your ally. Instead of letting your imagination run wild, you observe. Instead of convincing yourself she's yours already, you remain steady. By staying calm and grounded, you give her the safety to send more signals without feeling pressured. Attraction grows in quiet spaces, not in desperate attempts to rush it. So the next time you sense her energy shift, her voice softening, her eyes lingering, her laughter holding you longer than it should, don't press, don't overreact. Simply notice. That awareness alone separates you from the majority of men who miss what's right in front of them. If this resonates, share this with a brother who needs to hear it, because most men miss this first sign. Signal number 2, she makes space for you in her life. There's one truth about women that rarely fails. She only makes time for what she feels emotionally tied to. A woman may claim to be busy, her schedule overflowing with work, social obligations, or personal goals. But if she truly likes you, she will find ways to create space for you. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. At first, this may show up in small ways. She sends you a random text out of nowhere, not to ask for something, but simply to check in. How's your day going? She remembers something you mentioned weeks ago and brings it up casually, proving you're not just another name in her contact list. You've become a thread in her memory. She might recommend a song because it reminded her of you, or say she stopped by a coffee shop because she remembered you like it. These gestures may seem insignificant, but they reveal something profound. She's weaving you into her daily life. Sometimes it's even more obvious. She shows up at events she knows you'll attend, or finds excuses for your paths to cross. She might align her plans around opportunities to see you, even if she doesn't consciously recognize why she's doing it. The point is clear. She's investing her time and energy where her emotions are pulling her. Psychology explains this well. The female mind is highly associative. It doesn't just remember facts, it remembers feelings attached to those facts. So when you make her laugh, share something meaningful, or create a positive emotional experience, her brain begins to attach you to that feeling. Over time, that association deepens, and you transform from someone she occasionally interacts with into someone she instinctively seeks out. But here's where many men ruin it. They interpret this signal as ownership, rushing in with assumptions or acting as though she already belongs to them. Instead of building connection, they suffocate it. That's why Stoicism is essential here. The Stoic man responds not with greed, but with Stoic warmth. You don't push, you don't grasp, and you don't let your ego inflate. You simply acknowledge her effort with calm presence, appreciating her gestures without demanding more. This approach creates safety. When she feels you're not trying to trap her or claim her too quickly, she leans in even further. Her investment grows naturally, turning into a quiet attachment that deepens without pressure. So, pay attention to the spaces she creates for you, whether it's in her texts, her plans, or the way she threads you into conversations. They're not random. They're the echoes of her emotional bond forming. Want to learn how to stay grounded when a woman starts pulling you into her world? Subscribe to Stoic Advice for Men and never lose yourself in the process. Signal number 3, her guard drops, but only with you. Every woman walks through the world wearing armor. It's not because she enjoys pretending, it's because she has to. Society judges, people gossip, and experience teaches her to be cautious. So she learns to polish her words, control her expressions, and present a version of herself that feels safe in public. But when she truly likes you, something extraordinary happens. The armor starts to slip. Not all at once, and not with dramatic fanfare, but piece by piece in ways you'll notice if you're paying attention. She begins to share fragments of her inner world. Maybe she tells you about fears she's never voiced to anyone else. Maybe she opens up about dreams she's held quietly for years. These aren't random confessions, they're signs of trust. Her stories shift from small talk to substance. You'll hear, "I've never told anyone this, but," or, "Sometimes I feel like," and you'll realize you're seeing the unfiltered version of her, not the carefully edited one she shows the rest of the world. Her emotions also become more authentic around you. She laughs louder, gets more animated, or even shows irritation, not in hostility, but because she feels safe enough not to hide it. Her body language relaxes. She stops adjusting her appearance every 5 minutes. The nervous fidgeting fades, replaced by a more natural flow. In your presence, she is simply herself. This is one of the most powerful signals you'll ever witness. Vulnerability is her ultimate currency, and she doesn't spend it lightly. If she reveals her doubts, her flaws, or her raw feelings, it means she sees you as someone safe, someone who won't weaponize her openness. Sadly, many men misinterpret this gift. They mistake vulnerability for drama and pull away, or they immediately try to fix her problems as if she were asking for solutions. But she doesn't want a repairman. She wants a witness. She wants to feel understood, not managed. And when a man fails to grasp this, he shuts down the very connection she was trying to build. The Stoic man knows better. He doesn't panic at strong emotions or retreat from difficult conversations. He remains steady, listening without judgment, offering presence instead of control. He realizes that true strength is not about domination. It's about stillness, about being the one place where she feels she doesn't have to perform. So when her guard drops, don't miss the significance. She's not doing this with every man. She's doing it with you. And if you can hold that space without breaking it, you've earned her deepest level of trust. If you want to be the man she trusts enough to show her real self, remember, strength is not in fixing her, but in holding steady. For more, join the Stoic Advice for Men community. The psychology behind these signals. To fully grasp why these signals matter, you need to understand the psychology behind them. Unlike men, who often separate logic and feeling, women process the world in a more associative way. Their minds naturally connect emotions with memories, and those memories shape their future behavior. Think of it this way: when you make her laugh, it's not just a moment of humor. Her brain links you with that feeling of joy. When you comfort her, it's not just a conversation. It's a memory her emotions file under safety. Over time, these small emotional anchors create a web of associations. Without realizing it, she starts seeking you out, because being around you consistently feels good. This is why the signals are often subtle and unconscious. She may not even realize she's leaning toward you when you speak, or that she's checking her phone to send you a quick message. These behaviors aren't always deliberate choices. They're instinctive responses driven by the emotional connections forming inside her. And this is exactly why so many men miss the signs. They're too focused on the obvious: grand gestures, dramatic confessions, or direct statements. But women rarely operate in that way. Attraction for them is quieter, layered, and nuanced. Here's the powerful truth. If you can train yourself to notice these subtle cues, you gain an advantage over 99% of men. Most will overlook the details, either dismissing them as coincidence or misinterpreting them altogether. But the man who sees clearly, the one who reads the language of energy, time, and vulnerability, becomes rare. And rarity in itself is magnetic. This is the psychology of attraction. Emotions become memories, memories become habits, and habits become attachment. If you can see it, you'll never be confused again. For every man who notices the quiet signals of attraction, there are countless others who stumble over the same mistakes again and again. The first and most common error is misinterpretation. Too many men confuse basic friendliness with genuine interest. A polite smile, a casual compliment, or a short conversation doesn't automatically mean she's into you. Mistaking courtesy for attraction often leads to disappointment and sometimes embarrassment. The second mistake is moving too quickly. Once a man senses a flicker of interest, he may rush in with constant messages, demands for attention, or over-the-top compliments. Instead of deepening the connection, this pressure makes her retreat. What could have grown naturally gets suffocated under the weight of impatience. Then there are the men who miss the signals entirely. They're so distracted chasing other women, or too caught up in their own thoughts, that they fail to notice when someone right in front of them is showing subtle but undeniable signs of attraction. By the time they realize, the opportunity is gone. The Stoic lesson here is clear. Remain calm and alert. Don't assume, don't rush, and don't ignore. Approach her signals with the same discipline you would approach any challenge in life, patiently, without judgment, and with clarity of mind. Attraction isn't a race, nor is it a puzzle to be solved instantly. It's a rhythm you learn to hear only when you're still enough to listen. The man who avoids these mistakes stands apart from the rest. He doesn't need to force anything. He simply observes, understands, and lets the connection unfold naturally. Once you recognize the signals, the real question becomes, how should you respond? The natural impulse for most men is to get excited, to push forward, or to seek constant reassurance. But that's exactly what breaks the attraction. The Stoic man does the opposite. He stays calm, he observes, and he remains fully present without needing to control the outcome. When she laughs longer at your jokes or drops her guard to share something vulnerable, you don't leap in with overblown reactions or demand to know what it means. You simply hold steady. Your presence communicates more than any words could, that you are grounded, that you don't need validation to know your worth. This is the heart of Stoicism in relationships, mastering yourself before trying to interpret or influence someone else. You can't control her emotions, but you can control your own. You can't dictate her choices, but you can show up as a man who is consistent, calm, and authentic. That steadiness is what makes her feel safe to open up further. So don't overthink, don't overreact, and don't overreach. Just notice. Respond with quiet confidence. Let her signals guide the pace while you maintain your center. In the long run, the man who keeps his balance wins her trust, and trust always precedes love. If you're ready to embody this calm strength, hit subscribe and join Stoic Advice for Men, where men learn to master themselves first. Attraction doesn't always shout. More often it whispers. And if you've followed this far, you now know the 3 signals that reveal when a woman genuinely likes you. First, her energy shifts. Her voice softens, her eyes linger, her laughter holds you a little longer. Second, she makes space for you, threading you into her conversations, her plans, even the small details of her day. And third, she drops her guard, revealing not the polished version the world sees, but the raw, unfiltered self she saves for those she truly trusts. These signals are not random. They are quiet invitations, each one saying without words, "I feel something here." But most men never notice them. They rush, they assume, or they let insecurity cloud their vision. That's why Stoicism is so powerful in relationships. It teaches you not to chase, not to cling, but simply to observe with calm clarity. A strong man doesn't need to demand answers or force outcomes. He recognizes what's unfolding and holds steady. By mastering himself, he becomes the kind of man a woman feels safe leaning toward. And that, more than charm or status, is what makes the difference. So, brother, the next time you sense her energy shifting, or find her making room for you, or see her armor slipping away, don't ignore it. Notice it. Because noticing is the first step to understanding, and understanding changes everything. If this article opened your eyes, comment with the word "noticed," and don't forget, subscribe to Stoic Advice for Men so you'll never miss the signals again.